Welcome back to Movie Trailer Reviews Podcast. This is Kriss here, and I got Tim and Brandon here. I know we weren't trying to have a sausage party today. I was trying to get Ro and Shanna on, but I'm not sure if Ro was able to even get on. 'Cause I know she's traveling today. I was already like 20 minutes late because I passed out on the couch and didn't see any text. Like I was out. It's a Friday, and we were trying to get this out before the Oscars. We're back with another Black Critic Roundtable, so it's going to be the three of us. We're going to be talking about the Best Picture and Best Director categories at the Oscars this year. We're going to be breaking down, same thing we kind of did with the lead actors and the actresses and supporting actors and actresses. Talk about the categories, who's in them, who's nominated, who we think we're going to win out of the category, and then who we would have liked to see outside of that. Now, before we get into that, something that I did promise, I've been promising for a while now, I wanted to kind of bring up how the voting system for the Oscars worked. I made sure to find a couple articles that goes into it, and it's not confusing, but it's such a big deal. Like, are you guys aware of how the voting system works for the Oscars, particularly Best Picture?
No.
Okay. So, the way they do it is it's probably similar to the way that they start the nomination periods for they did nominations for our Film Critic Association. It's just way worse. So, first of all, I've mentioned this before. Academy, the Academy has a different brand. They've added. I can't remember. Does anybody remember how many members are in the Academy right now? I know I found an article that was like 6,000, but I know it's more than that. I want to say it's like 9 right now because I know they did after Oscars So White. They did a whole influx of new members into the Academy as a whole. I can't remember what the current number is sitting at, but you cannot be a member that belongs to multiple branches. And where this gets to be in a problem is, and what we've mentioned before, when we see these disparities between directors, who's nominated for director and who's nominated, what pictures are nominated for Best Picture. You cannot belong to multiple branches, and we know that we are seeing a lot of writer directors, or director actors, and things like that. So you can't be. So let's take Ben. This article mentions Ben Affleck as an example. So while he's been in for acting and directing, he cannot be in the actors branch and the director branch at the same time. And
wow,
right, and that causes problems when you think about it. Because again, I said this before, if you're adding an influx of women and minorities into the Academy, nobody's been asking the question of what branches are you bringing some of these people into?
it says there's 17 branches.
Yeah. Basically, I think there's 23 categories, so almost every category has a branch.
Right.
And so if you're the actors branch, you're voting for actors and things like that. So. And again, it shows you the disparity between those directors and Best Pictures, or even the directors and actors. Because again, if you're bringing in a bunch of black people and they're under the actor category, they're not being able to nominate anybody for the director. So that's the first thing. Secondly, when it comes down to voting, let me see if I can find this one. I'll do this for actors because it's easier, but just think about this for the Best Picture. You can do up to 10, and everybody can vote for Best Picture. Voters are asked to list their top 5 choices in order of preference, and encouraged to follow their hearts. The Academy is careful not to penalize voters for uncommon selections. The system also makes sure voting for the same person or film twice does not improve its odds; it actually worsens its chances. So I think it's kind of similar to, Tim. I'm not sure how your critic association works, but I know that's how ours works here. Whereas you list out your choices in order from first choice, second choice, third choice for each of these categories.
Yep, we do the same thing.
Once the votes are cast, the first step of the accounting is to find out the magic number for each category. The magic number determines when a person or film becomes an official nominee. The magic number is calculated by taking the total number of ballots received for that category, dividing them by the number of possible nominees plus 1, then rounding it up to the nearest whole number. For instance, if 602 ballots were received for Best Actress, and there are 5 nominees for the category, then the accountants would divide 602 by 6, 5 potential nominees plus 1, which equals 100.33. Therefore, the magic number is rounded up to 101. In this example, when a candidate for Best Actress gets 101 votes, she becomes an official nominee. The process of tallying a Best Picture votes is slightly different because the race can have up to 10 nominees. The accountants will divide the total number of ballots by 11 to get the magic number. The next ballots are pulled based on each voter's first choice selection. Hopefully, nominees must have at least at least one first choice vote to be eligible. Once a nominee gets to the magic number based off their first choice selections, he or she is in, and those ballots are set aside. Prospective nominees with the fewest first place votes are eliminated, and those ballots are then redistributed to the other piles based on those votes' second place selections. Then the counters begin a whole new round. This is how they go through. I think this is fine. Where it gets kind of iffy for Best Picture is they can do this. You can actually have more first place votes for Best Picture, but if if you don't have, that still does not mean that you're going to be the Best Picture nomination, because they'll take across that entire category. So if somebody gets 10 first place votes, but then another one gets 9, but has more second place votes, that's going to be the one that actually wins.
Wow.
I bring it up because this is where you get these weird results, and that's why it's really, 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 really kind of hard to predict what's going to happen and who's going to win, because the voting thing, it can be very, very weird. Just because you have the most first place votes does not necessarily mean you win, and even if you have the most quote unquote votes, doesn't necessarily mean that you'll win. It's a very, very weird process here. And it's actually very, very confusing. And I think that's where you get some of these things that, where you get these results where, a film has, the momentum, as they say, with the films that have been nominated and the awards it's won, and then you get the Best Picture and an entirely different film wins Best Picture. So I wanted to kind of throw it out there. I'll make sure I put the links to these articles I talk about. There's 2 different articles that kind of talk about this. It can be very, very confusing. You got to read it several times. But I'll make sure I put the link to that into the show notes for this episode for that. So, all right. With that said, let's move on and actually get into this. Let's start with directors first. So the 5 directors that are nominated for Best Director at the Oscars this year are Spike Lee for BlacKkKlansman, Pawlikowski for Cold War, which is a film we haven't talked about yet, but I know Brandon, you and Ro talked about it before.
Not really, because I haven't watched it. It's available on Prime.
I thought you did.
I have it, but I've not sat and watched that movie.
Oh wow! I actually thought you did watch it. I know we were talking about actually watching it to talk about, but I that's why I didn't watch it yet. I thought you guys did.
No, I had it on the mind, but I never sat and watched it. I just every time I look at it, I go, I really should watch that, and I'll probably watch it this weekend. Yeah. Before I finally see the results of the Oscars or whatnot. But yeah, I haven't watched it.
Yorgos Lanthimos, I think that's how you say it. The Favorite, Alfonso Cuaron, Romo, and then Adam McKay for Vice. What do you guys think of these 5 nominations?
Well, Brandon, you can go first.
Spike Lee out of here.
You said what?
Y'all can get Spike Lee for BlacKkKlansman out of here. I'm sorry. And I don't think BlacKkKlansman is a bad movie. I don't think it's anywhere near one of Spike's best films. And I definitely don't think it's the best black film that's by a director of color that came out last year. They're doing this is the same shit they did with Denzel Washington and fucking Training Day over Russell Crowe and A Beautiful Mind or whatever that film was when they did that bullshit. I probably fucked that up.
No, you're right. You're right. That was, because I'm not gonna lie, when people sit there and go, I was like, Russell Crowe should have won for Beautiful Mind that year.
He should have. Y'all can say fuck Russell Crowe you want to. Beautiful Mind is a beautiful fucking movie, and that is absolutely one of his A+ performances, and it's an A+ film just in general. They were trying to get Denzel his props for Malcolm X, I believe it was the one that they didn't nominate him for, because he got his shit for Glory, if I'm not mistaken, but he didn't get it for Malcolm X, which was also a stiff of Spike Lee because that's a Malcolm X film. So I understand what they're doing now. But Spike Lee since then has had many adapted films that he could have had up there, but they didn't go for it. BlacKkKlansman, this film in a way kind of panders to racism. And I get that it's supposed to be comical, and I get that it's supposed to be a bit black exploitive, and it's supposed to be like funny, tongue in cheek funny. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good film. I don't think it's better than Sorry to Bother You. I don't think it's better than Blind Spotting. Honestly, I don't think it's better than Black Panther. I don't even think it's better than like Creed 2. I'm sorry, man. Like, I watched it and it's cool, but this is some basic Spike Lee shit. The casting wasn't that great. There's not a lot of memorable lines. David Washington is not Denzel Washington. He's just not. He's cool, and I like him in stuff like Monsters and Men, and I like him in Ballers, and he carries his own when he needs to, but he's not Denzel. It's an okay film. It gets the job done. I don't think it should be in here for best directing. And I would love to put a person of color up in here. I would love for the director of Blind Spotting to be up in here. But let's just keep it 100 too. My boy Krasinski deserves that spot.
That's one of the films I was going to. So you kind of jumping ahead to my snubs. John Krasinski not getting anything or getting any kind of nod for the work he did with. Like I have been consistent. I think ever since we've been talking about these Black Critic Roundtables about bringing up A Quiet Place, and they were just announced I think today that he's coming back to direct the sequel.
Sequel?
Yeah, the sequel,
which is weird because he already said he was doing the sequel after they did the first one. Because I remember after the first one came out, like not even a couple of weeks afterwards, there was rumor that they had already planned to do a sequel and that he was going to be in it. Well, I remember people being like, how the fuck is he going to be in the sequel?
I think it's just, it's officially. Like, officially, he signed the paperwork today, and so now it's official. Yeah. But you're right. Like that film to me, for the way that film worked and the fact that it's, it's mostly silent and you still get all this emotion in this film. Like, that's, again, I knew he wasn't going to get a nod for it. But if you're going to put, some of these other films in here, I'm like, kind of wish he got in there. So,
well, then Bradley Cooper then. Like, and I hate to bring up two white dudes to replace Denzel, but nobody wanted to give Blind Spotting the attention that it fucking deserved, and it should absolutely be in here. And at the minimum, the way white people praise Bootsy for his shit, he should have been here. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to pander to Spike Lee, so they gave it to him for this damn film. And I'm sorry, Bradley Cooper or Krasinski both deserve this spot over this movie.
Do you think this is the year that they give it to Spike?
No. I don't. I don't think he's going to get it. I think it's going to go to The Favorite. To be quite honest, I think The Favorite is going to come through and sweep.
Interesting.
I can see that.
I think Roma. I think Old Girl's going to get it for Roma, but I think that The Favorite is going to sweep other categories, just like fucking sweep through.
Right. I think the one director I think that's really missing out of here is Barry Jenkins.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I was shocked to not see Zero Love for that movie on here. I was shocked.
When we did
it's a beautiful film.
Oh yeah, it is. It's funny when we did a review though. Brandon kind of mentioned there's like, you know what, this is going to be the film they kind of get him back for by not nominating him for, because it's one of those things that I don't agree with this, but I can see exactly the arguments that white people were making about. And because we said this before. Let me say, it's not just white people. There are some other people who have seen this film who don't seem to get it. And
there are black people who think it's not entertaining, and they don't like the way that it's not bow wrapped up at the end. They don't like it. They don't like that it's an open-ended film, and there's not this concrete or definitive closure to the story where they give you all of the facts that you're looking for and answer all of the questions that you want. The fact that you don't know what happens to that couple at the end, the fact that you don't know how many years old boy got, those open-ended questions left people disturbed and, a bit cheated by this film, when in reality, they just completely missed the point that the message was, it really doesn't matter what his sentence is being a black man. That's his sentence. Their sentence is being a black couple in urban, white culture. That's the sentence here. It's never ending. Even if he gets out, he's always a target. They're always going to be victimized. They're always going to be oppressed. But people miss that, right? And they also miss the point that Black families had to, this is how it ended for Black families in these situations. They had to sit and hope that if you were sentenced to 10 years, you were released bare men in 10 years. Now, maybe you got lucky and got out early due to overcrowding or something, but they were just hoping that didn't shit else happen while you were in there to extend that sentence, because those white people were animals in that prison and they could do whatever the fuck they wanted to you, which was a pivotal point of the film expressed by Tyree Henry. So like, I don't know what people missed, but they completely missed it.
Yeah.
And they didn't like it. They just didn't like it. So I'm not going to say they didn't like it. They saw all of the beauty in it, right? They saw that, but like one person put it, it's not entertaining. They weren't entertained by it. Whereas BlacKkKlansman with two big K's and a little K is entertaining.
Yeah, I think Barry Jenkins is probably my biggest the biggest snub I have here. John Krasinski is somebody that I look at. It was like I knew he was never going to get in, and I don't necessarily see him as a snub because I kind of maybe it should be considered a snub, but I look at it as like they were never gonna give that film the recognition it deserved. So I'm not like as hurt by that. And there was one more person I had. Bo,
in my opinion, Bo Burnham should be up for 8th grader.
Okay,
for directing.
So Bo Burnham for 8th grade, but I was also going to mention who was the director for Leave No Trace?
The woman, yeah, but they didn't bring it up.
Yeah,
you're a woman.
Yeah, Deborah Granick, and the reason why I bring that up is Leave No Trace. After we watched it, it was one of those things. I was like, I can't believe more people haven't talked about this film. You know, because it's a film that you would think that, especially with its subject matter, that it's right up the alley of, you know, and I feel like this is true for a lot of, when it comes to these films that get Oscar things. It's not just, to me, I think we got to expand the category now of Oscar bait films into things that also, and you look at Get Out and Black Panthers being films like this that have also entered into, have these narratives around them that fit into a narrative of the year. And so with Leave No Trace and it's talking and it's following this father who is struggling with obviously a veteran and struggling with PTSD and taking care of his daughter and trying to live off the grid and all these other things. You would think that would be something that is a topic that, you know, we talk about constantly all the time in just our national discussions, and to not see this film get any kind of mention during the year at all. I mean, I can understand people are like, well, you know, against these other films, they're just not going to put it up there. But like, it just did not really enter the conversation at all. Is to me ridiculous. Like that is an amazing film, and like you said, it's another film that kind of ends at the end where you don't really have a resolution. And this is where I call bullshit. Not saying that you're wrong. I absolutely believe that people are thinking about this with Beale Street. It's just funny to me when people decide to use that as an excuse for why something they didn't like. Because how many times do we sit through something like what was it? I think it wasn't last year or the year before that. Arrival. This year was Annihilation and things
Annihilation.
Like that. Yeah.
Annihilation.
Mm-hmm. And where they don't give you they give these bullshit, you know, answers for the end of the film that don't make any fucking sense. At least with Leave No Trace and Beale Street, it's not like they don't have an end. They don't have a traditional end. There's an end, and it's a snapshot of real life. You know, like this is what Black families had to deal with. The idea of maintaining, surviving while one member of the family, usually the black man, is locked up, like indefinitely. Like we could give you a number, but like I said, if he told us a number, hey, I'm getting out, and I want to say even in that film he even said that, hey, look, you know, I'll be getting out in a few years. Like that to them wasn't an ending enough. They needed like, well, how many years was he in there for? And like, come on, like, well, his son is grown up. You can kind of already see how long he's already kind of been in there for. Like, you have all the context clues as to what you need to get the ending you want in your mind. With a film like Annihilation, it was like, oh, well, is it or wasn't it? Or like, It's what you wanted it to be. I'm like, go fuck yourself.
But that's what it is. It's what you want it to be. That open to interpretation, that perspective from viewership, like that from a viewing angle. That's what you notice with like YouTubers eat that shit up.
I know. Yeah.
Because it's the one time during the year where they go to the cinema where they can walk away and like, I'm about to go be smart. And they sit in front of their cameras and they turn their mics on. That's why they do that shit. Like a ghost story, and It Comes at Night and Annihilation, these open-ended films that these not, I don't even want to call them open-ended. I want to call them open completely to interpretation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's no definitive source and there's no definitive context. So if any one of those films decided at the end to have a person wake up and they were dreaming, it would work for people.
Right.
For me, for who I think, actually the opposite of you, I actually think that they might, like Spike Lee actually might get it this year for BlacKkKlansman, and we'll talk about Best Picture in that way too, because I think there is a history of, and we'll see, because this is going to be a year where we get with the idea of getting more of Spike Lee's peers into that Directors Guild to help vote, and seeing that they even nominated this film over some of the other films. I feel like there's definitely going to be this idea of, and even the way that they've the media around him being nominated this year is like, oh, he's finally nominated he could finally get his Best Picture nomination. It's like, I feel like the media around it is also kind of driving that narrative that this is going to be his year. You got to give it to him this year. He's earned it this time. So I feel like it might actually happen this year. Not saying he's not my choice out of this category. I think to me it comes down to Yorgos for The Favorite and Alfonso for Roma as who I would want to win out of this category. I actually really would like to see Roma sweep the categories it's in, but I'm not very confident of it because of it's such it feels like such an atypical Oscar film. It's a foreign film.
Too typical?
Huh? No,
it's a little too typical for an Oscar
film? I say atypical because it's got an indigenous woman as the lead actor. It's got it's a non-English film. It's shot in black and white. It's not set in America. Well,
but you have to look at the actual story, right? It's about struggle of a person of color, and white people love that, especially like Oscar white people. It doesn't matter that the lead is a person of color as long as they're going through some type of struggle.
You're right,
and the whole film is struggle.
If it was only if I'll put it if Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman wasn't there, if he wasn't there for BlacKkKlansman, I would agree. Like I would think that they would go, but now I feel like they have we have that film here, but then Spike Lee's film was funny. We're gonna laugh at people, so I feel like that's gonna be the thing that hurts him, and I feel like almost and I don't believe this, but I feel like this is something because it's just something that I feel with the media coming around Roma, it's almost still too foreign to them. And I feel, again, I've been seeing, it's the same thing that happened with, we've seen with Barry Jenkins and what they talk about with Beale Street. It's kind of boring and, it's not a really set, defined, story of like, this is this triumph. And like everything we said about Beale Street, I think this might also, I just thought about this, might be why Beale Street didn't get nominated. Cause they're like, okay, we're going to get, people are like, okay, we can do the Beale Street or we can do Roma. It's going to be one or the other. We can't do both. Because
I don't even feel like they gave Beale Street that much of a nod where they put it up against Roma. I think they felt like with Netflix's and I want to.
Netflix
I feel like a lot of this year is movie sponsored by nominations because Black Panther absolutely feels like a huge Marvel push on top of all of the expectations that came from it last year that people constantly been talking about. Like it should be up there. But I also feel like Marvel is definitely behind it, like pushing the shit out of it with what they're doing in theaters now. And the way they've just been piggybacking its success. And I think the same thing Netflix is doing with Roma. This was Netflix's big breakout of, see, we're not just a streaming service, we're so much more. And they have backed Roma, and this, this lead actress has been getting all of this attention, whether negative or not. She's been getting so much spotlighted attention. The Favorite has the backing. Like, there were so many commercials after the Oscar nominations came out where they were pumping The Favorite as if like it was like it was a film that had just came out, but it had been out for a while and they were pushing it. The other two films, they're not really talking about Vice and they're not talking about Cold War, but like you said, Spike Lee is getting this, look, he's getting a nod push this year. They're really, really harping on that. So I don't disagree with you with saying that you think that he could win, because to be completely honest, they will lose nothing by selecting him as the winner in this category. Whereas in other years, they had all of these films that were so highly acclaimed, and there were a lot of people like, well, this doesn't win, this is bullshit, and this doesn't win. Like the Spotlight year and the Birdman year, those were different feels to me. This year, when you look at the directing category, to be quite honest, the best directors aren't even in it. And just based off of that, it's kind of a give me category. He's not gonna win best director, and critics are gonna lose their fucking shit. But to be honest, any film in here, if it won, nobody's gonna lose their shit. Nobody's gonna be like, see, the Oscars didn't even get it right by letting that person win best director. Who here could win best director that would throw people into a tizzy?
I think the only thing would be Roma, because of some of the Netflix bias that people have.
And I was going to say that's one thing that I think goes against Netflix. Yeah. Now Netflix bias is real. I completely forgot about that. I know we talked about that last time, and that also might be, I think that's probably the bigger thing that's going to keep Roma from winning some of these things. I think, like you said, I think that they might get the best actor, but if especially in the director category, right? Because I think the director category is still the old white man boys club that is still trying to go on. Again, if you look back at how this voting works, they're still trying to be very, very selective. Again, that's why when you see the directors, is why you don't see the black female director that should be getting nominated, or any female director getting nominated when they should. Is why you still overwhelmingly get a certain type of black person being nominated for a certain type of black film in that category. And so, yeah, I kind of feel like I'm wondering, I think that the Directors Guild also includes producers, but I don't want to be held to that. So that might make it a little bit, up there, but you're right. I think that because Roma's also a Netflix film, and I fucking hate that. I hate the idea that people try to pretend like that somehow makes it different. But I remember when Ro was here, she was talking about how that was a big deal, for some people. Or maybe it might have been you, Tim. I can't remember if it was Ro or you.
Yeah, it was me. Yeah, it was me in our critics. She was asking me about it. Yeah. But yeah, in our critics group, it's been a conversation.
So, yeah, that might be what keeps it there. So, anybody else you guys think should be mentioned before we move on to Best Picture?
Mentioned in Best Director?
Yeah, Best Director.
I mean, I still think Ryan Coogler should be in there for Panther.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of, is there any film Best Director? Probably no. I don't really think I think the only thing it's missing is the women. I think if it had included if they could have included the director of Can You Ever Forgive Me or Leave No Trace, then I would have been satisfied. And Bradley Cooper. But outside of that, no, I don't think there's anyone that specifically we're missing.
Yeah, Morel.
That's a snub or anything.
Morel Heller, I think, did Can You Ever Forgive Me, which is a kind of a weird thing that, everybody looks at it as like it's Melissa McCarthy's best film. And did it get nominated for Best Picture? No. It didn't get nominated for Best Picture, but it's Melissa McCarthy's best film, and again, I've been seeing, and we're gonna have a whole conversation. Hopefully, when we get all the ladies back on, well after the Oscar, we're gonna do this in March. The Black Critic Roundtable. We're gonna talk about some of the snubs for the female director snubs, and also female directors that have films coming out this year that we're gonna be looking for. But Yeah, I was seeing these articles talking about some. Oh well, female directors weren't getting nominated. And people were going around going, well, it's because the quality. I'm like, no, you guys didn't see the films because there are at least 2 or 3 female directors that put films out that were definitely Oscar quality, if not more, and could have been nominated and didn't seem like they were even in the conversation, which I think goes back to the idea of that director guild being an old boys club that needs to be broken up a little bit. So. All right, so let's get into the best picture. So the nominations were for Black Panther, BlacKkKlansman, Bohemian Rhapsody. Fuck this. The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star Is Born, and Vice. What do you guys think about this category? Outside of Bohemian Rhapsody, never should be in that category. Because I think we've talked about that enough. What do you guys think about the rest of these films in this category?
Yeah, what'd you think, Tim?
I don't love Green Book. That's the film that I appreciated the performances, man, but as a movie, it just all sort of felt flat to me. It sort of really rang untrue, and that's before all the sort of scandal came out. But as far as what I like, man, that's tough. It's not a great. I mean, Vice would be it for me if I had to pick one I like. I mean, I enjoy the stuff for Best Picture. Yeah, it would be Vice. Yeah, Vice, but I have a sneaky suspicion that Roma might win. But yeah, it would be Vice.
What about you, Brandon?
If I had to choose, I would. Yeah, I'm pretty much Vice would be number 1. A Star Is Born would be number 2, and Black Panther I would just do as number 3. I don't think Roma's gonna get it. I still feel like The Favorite is going to sweep, so I think The Favorite is going to get it. I just did not love The Favorite as much as everyone else did. I liked it. I thought it was funny. I'm not a period piece person, but the fact that I was able to sit through it and deal with all the craziness because it was entertaining, that's a step up for me. I count that as a win, but selecting it as the best picture, it's definitely not one that I'm going to turn around and go back and watch. Again, it's fine. Even if I saw it, like just stream it on TNT or something, I wouldn't sit and watch it. It's definitely a one watch for me, and that's cool. I think Vice absolutely would deserve it. I think Vice absolutely deserves it if it does win. I also think A Star Is Born deserves it because, despite what can be said about Gaga's acting and if she's acting like Gaga or not, the picture as a whole is just a beautiful film. I don't care if it's been done 4 times. I'm not going to go back and watch the show tunes version of it from the 1930s or whatever. And I'm definitely not going to go back and watch a lot of the older ones. I could really give a damn about those. I like Gaga singing in it. I like Bradley Cooper's directing in it. I like the side characters in it. I enjoy the story. I've read the endings to the other ones. I like the way this ends better than what I've seen for the other ones. That's just my opinion. I think it's a good film. I think it's a good film. I think it was a great film. And I think it hit you where it needed to hit you. It hit the notes that it needed to that it needed to hit. So I would wish it would do better, but I do think that Vice has the edge on it. Green Book shouldn't be in here. The only thing that should have came from Green Book is, and I've seen Green Book 4 times up to this point, Green Book should only be in here in the Oscars nom for Mahershala. It really shouldn't be in here for anything else. But, white pander.
I feel like Green Book, Bohemian Rhapsody, and BlacKkKlansman can probably be taken out. Like, with BlacKkKlansman being the third, if you had to take a third out here. I know I've been seeing a lot of people going like, well, I can't believe Black Panther got in. I'm like, well, with the nominations that they did get, like, Black Panther wouldn't have been in my top 10. Because I feel like this category is kind of it's kind of a weak category this year, which is weird for me to say.
It is a weak category
because some of the best films that came out this year aren't in there. Namely, mentioning if Beale Street could talk. Like I'm like,
Blind Spotting's
not in there.
Kriss, have you seen Blind Spotting, dog?
No, I still haven't seen it because you know what they didn't say.
Nigga,
well, here's the thing about Blind Spotting. They did a whole.
I got it on my Voodoo, dog. Yeah. If you need my Voodoo password, you can get to watch it.
No, I'm gonna get it. I honestly just haven't had time to get around and do it. The thing with Blind Spotting was, and I put this on the people behind Blind Spotting, they did not do a push. They
No,
did
they
not
didn't
send
push
it.
it.
They did not
They
send it.
absolutely. It's
did
not on any streaming service right now. They didn't push it at all.
They did not, and I was waiting on it, and even when we go back to it, you got to remember, because when you went to go see it, it was like an odd time to go see it too. It was like really.
I went to Charles Theater to see it because David and Raphael were there to do Q&A afterwards.
Wasn't that like a Saturday or something like that?
Something like that. It might have been a Saturday. Yeah,
it was something weird, and I was like, "Yo, I can't go, so you can go." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure there'll be another screener for it," and there wasn't even another screener for it. So it's like, I'm like blind. I keep hearing about Blind Spot, and I'm like, "Yo, why didn't they do any kind of push on this film?" And I don't know who the studios that was behind that, but they dropped the ball heavy on that, really heavy on that. And so. Yeah, it's like, so there's a lot of these films that should be in this category. Again, Leave No Trace is a film that I feel like after seeing, I'm like, this is a film that feels like it should definitely be in the conversation over some of these other films, and it's not there. Can You Ever Forgive Me? It's clearly Melissa McCarthy's best film, and it's also a really, really good fucking film. And you have a lead actress you have the lead actress nominated for, and you have Richard
supporting actor.
You have the supporting actor in it too, Richard E. Grant in it as well. How does that film not end up in the best picture nomination?
And they got it for screenplay,
right? You got it for screenplay. You have Glenn Close for The Wife as lead actress, and it's just a very this year is a very rare category, which is why I brought up the whole voting thing. It's like, the voting for Best Picture can be everybody who's in the Academy, and so it's up to there. And the way they do that voting, it's a way that you get films that get dropped out and get snubbed, even if they got technically sometimes more first place votes than other films. And it's kind of a mess this year. And like I said, like, to me, Black Panther wouldn't have been in the top 10. But if you're going to put Bohemian Rhapsody, Green Book, and BlacKkKlansman there, then absolutely you got to put Black Panther there, because at that point it's like almost like a stopgap. It's like, oh no, you're putting bullshit in this category now. You better put Black Panther there. Especially if you're not going to put in Blind Spotting, if you're not going to put in If Bill Creasy Could Talk, you have to put Black Panther into this category now, or else you're just complete fucking full of shit.
What do you think about all these people complaining about Black Panther being in there?
Well, I think the most.
Who are these people?
Well, so so here's my thing, and I said this before. 'Cause I was telling people before I didn't think it was going to get nominated, and that was when people were so against the popular film category. And I was so mad because there was so many misinformation about what that category was supposed to be. And I understand that the Academy is terrible at its own PR, right? Because they got in trouble for not for taking those 4 categories out of the they were going to give us 4 categories.
The live show?
Yeah, during the live show, and people were complaining. I'm like, half the people complaining.
Well, one of them was cinematographer. Like,
right.
What the fuck?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah,
but here's my thing. Half the people that are complaining ain't going to watch the Oscars fucking live anyway. So
you're absolutely right.
And then the other thing too is like, well, but then beyond that, to go back to the Academy being wrong on this, it's like, guys, there's nothing you can do to improve the ratings for the Oscars. It's a 3-hour award show. Nobody gives a fuck. We're gonna watch it online. We're gonna wait to see who gets nominated. We're gonna wait until they announce the thing. We'll turn to the channel, look at it real quick, and then we'll go back to whatever we're fucking doing. It's like, nobody's got time to sit here and watch a 3-hour award show at this on a Sunday fucking night. So,
well, like, people do. Okay, so what I've learned just from being on social media over the years, right? If you can get people to watch the BET Awards every year, no matter how terrible it is, right? They will return. And BET has actually gotten better at doing their awards. If BET could fix their award ceremony, the Oscars can fix theirs. The problem is the Oscars does not want to break formula too much to fix it. So as long as they continue to do this dry ass event, they think if they sprinkle a little water on it, that it's going to grow viewership. And that's bullshit. It's not. You need to change up your whole fucking formula. I don't even care if you decide that you want to do all of these categories, but the long drawn out talking and the unnecessary like accolades throughout the show to random people, I get why you're doing it. But the problem is they're too long. They're too dry. Your hosts have not been funny. I don't know if their host was given a do's and don'ts sheet that was more don'ts than do's. and weren't able to fully capitalize on their own skill of entertaining. So they have a dry run as well when they're hosting. But man, the Oscars need a whole completely they need to just overhaul their program director.
Oh well, no, everything about the Oscar, everything about the Academy, I think needs to be overhauled.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was seeing some people say that there's being calls for them adding a category for stuntmen and stunt person. And I was like,
they should,
yeah, absolutely, because people are dying for these roles. You damn well need to, you know.
Also, people know those people. Like right. Deidre knows the person who does stunts on Black Panther. Yeah. Those are regular people. Those are people that have like further reach and connection. Their families will watch now.
Yeah.
If they know that they could possibly win. But doing little stuff like, did you read that they're not performing the Black Panther joint with Kendrick and SZA?
Yeah.
This year? Why? Why isn't that song being performed? Why isn't Kendrick Lamar performing at the Oscars?
Yeah. It's like, you know, I think they're still struggling with, you know, like these little things to me, like when people are like, they're going to put the popular film category in there and they're just trying to get people to watch. I'm like, that wouldn't have gotten more people to watch. That wouldn't have. Yeah. Like, I still believe in the category. I believe in changing all these fucking categories, to be perfectly honest with you. But changing the categories and not showing a category or showing a category isn't actually going to make more people watch the Oscars, because all we're going to do is turn into when the category that we want to see is performing. And we'll know because we are watching Twitter. People on Twitter watch the Oscars. So it's like, that's not going to improve your ratings. But like you said, a live performance of, you know,
all of the stars,
and things like that. Like something like that, some of these performances make it an actual event, that a spectacle we want to watch. The other thing too, you brought the BET Awards. Are the BET Awards even done live?
I'm not sure if they're shown. I think they're recorded. I thought they were.
Okay, maybe they are. Maybe they are.
I'm not gonna speak on that because I don't know if they're done live or not. I don't think they're done live.
Because some of them,
but it's possible they could be, but I just don't know.
Right, and I know some films don't. But again, it goes back to what they do with the voting for the Oscars. Is they are so like, it's so much security with them voting for this stuff. They treat it like anybody really gives a shit. Like, if it leaks out who the best picture is, nobody gives a shit. Now, it does for them because nobody's going to watch your award show because all you have to go. Like, if right now the Oscars, all you have is, you know, who wins the category, and that's the only reason why people are going to tune in, you're always going to lose ratings, especially in the age of the internet. They have not kept up. So, I'm sorry, I went on that little tangent there. Going back to the Best Picture nominees and who I think will win. I said this when we did the Black Critic Roundtable. It's like, I think the possibility for Black Panther creeps up a lot more with this category, mainly because some of the other films that have been nominated have so much bad press around them. You know, I do not see Bohemian Rhapsody winning this.
It was never in the running for Big Picture.
Right.
Best Picture.
I just don't. Green Book has all the stuff that it came out with it, which it shouldn't have been in there as well. The thing with Roma, I want Roma to win. I don't think Roma's going to win because of the Netflix thing and what I mentioned before with Best Director. I wouldn't be mad if Vice won because like I thought Vice was fucking amazing. I don't give a fuck.
It's not going to win though because nobody's talking about it.
Right, it's not going to win. I feel like who is going to win? Like I said, I think Black Panther has a bigger possibility. I think that if BlacKkKlansman though, because right now going into the Oscar talk and what they've been doing, what they were doing going into voting, it was Spike Lee everything. So I think that this be them get. I believe Spike Lee is also, because remember Best Picture is also a producer award, but I believe Spike Lee is also producer on this. That means he'll also get this award as well. So I think this also might be another chance for them giving Spike Lee now 2 Oscars here. And obviously I think the favorite is the safe bet. But I think that BlacKkKlansman is probably going to end up taking it and winning.
So Black Panther is the radical choice. BlacKkKlansman is the pandering choice, and the favorite is the choice they want.
Yeah,
that's how it's broken. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-way toss up.
Mm-hmm.
but my money is on Panther or The Favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And really, I'm putting a few extra dollars on The Favorite because they really want this film to win these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like we as the consumer, the regular film audience wants Black Panther. Spike Lee's whole movement wants his film, but the people who be voting and the people who be reviewing all year, they want The Favorite. Really bad.
Well, this is where I put again Spike Lee and BlacKkKlansman up there because again it goes back to what we were saying before about giving certain directors that should finally get a chance. I think that the way that they're pushing Spike Lee this year is he's finally done enough. Give him his Lifetime Achievement Award, and that's why I put Black Panther up there as almost being the pick. I mean, not Black Panther, BlacKkKlansman as being the pick because it's okay. All right, Spike, you've earned your dues. You made a film that has black people in it that white people enjoyed as well. Here you go. We're gonna give it to you. Like I don't believe he should for this, but I think that's what it's going for, and I think there's enough. It's the perfect mix of you have the white people that have been denying Spike Lee for so long, saying okay, finally we're gonna give you that chance, and then you've gotten more black and brown people into the Academy who can look at BlacKkKlansman and go, yo, I like Black Panther, did it for the culture, but like, Spike Lee deserves this shit, so we're gonna give it to Spike Lee. I think there's enough of that going in there that BlacKkKlansman might come in there. But again, like I said, the way the voting works, there's enough of a chance for Black Panther to come in there with this category being as weak as it is this year. And it shouldn't be this week. I can't stress enough. It should not be this week. It really I am very disappointed in the list of films that came out when we had such a strong year last year. Right. There's no reason for the 2019 Oscar nominees for Best Picture to be this week when we had a year of strong movies that we did last year. I'm utterly disgusted by that.
Yeah, the Bohemian Rhapsody one really throws me for a loop. I just can't. I can't get with that. I just don't get it.
I don't see how people like over other films that you would think that would have made. Like I would have seen people put First Man, Annihilation, and Hereditary in there before Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, and those are films that I don't fuck with.
It's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie. And that's the big thing. It's not a good, like, as a film, it is not a good movie. We talked about this last time. We talked about Remy and his acting was like, yo, he was acting in a completely different movie than everybody else in the film. he was acting his ass off. Yeah, sure, but he's not. First of all, I don't think he was a best actor acting his ass off. And two,
I don't agree with that. I think he absolutely was best actor, one of the better actors that I saw this year because he made that film even worth watching. And he did a lot to play up to the character.
You're right. When you put it that way,
completely reportraying those live action stuff. He put his all into that shit.
We talked about this last time, and I agree with that assessment when you're saying that he's the best actor because he basically makes it. If you put anybody else in that film, you take him out of that film, the film. I think all the glares of the film that we see become even more glaring. Right.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's even more glaring with him not in the film. So you're absolutely right.
If he's not Freddie Mercury, you can't do it. You can't. This film is trash.
Yeah, I said something earlier today about Green Book. Like, without those two great actors, you see all the warts in the film. Mm-hmm. There's a conversation about eating fried chicken. Like, it's so ridiculous. But because they're both really good in that scene, it sort of covers up some of the nonsense.
Yep, absolutely. So, any other, what other films, and we've kind of been all over the place. We didn't have a set structure. This is what happens when the ladies aren't here. We kind of go over the place. Are there any other films that you think should have been, again, not maybe nominated, but should have been mentioned? Again, I got to say it because I'm always in A Quiet Place. But anything else you guys think that should have been in the conversation, even if it didn't, get a nomination here? That we haven't already talked about. Yeah. I was shocked by that. I was shocked by that. I was shocked that Eighth Grader did not get. Yeah.
I wish they would have showed the love that they want to show BlacKkKlansman. Sorry to bother you. I thought Sorry to Bother You was just perfect for whiteness because they love like off the rails shit like that. That goes from not directly saying things and making things more metaphorical and using a bunch of symbolism and social points but then for the end to be wacky as shit and for it to go completely off the rails. Oh, critics love that shit. Like white people love that shit as far as moviegoers do. So I thought Sorry to Bother You was a shoo-in this year as far as nominations and whatnot. I'm sad to see it not here. But Eighth Grader, I don't understand why that film isn't getting the attention that it needs just based off of the subject matter. Mm. Because it's really important for not just young girls to see that film, but for parents to see that film. Because there are a lot of parents, like, you know, some parents just don't understand, but it's legit. These parents don't understand their kids. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand the peers. They don't understand any of it. And Eighth Grader takes a deep look into not just the culture of these young kids, but the psyche of a child in that culture who is dead set center. And I'm sorry that more people did not see this film and this film did not get more push, because we don't get a lot of films like this that attack a subject matter as sensitive as that. This, I can't even think of the right word to use, but with this much tact that Bo Burnham did.
Yeah, Bo Burnham did a good job, and it's funny because, you know, Eighth Grade was really a talk from a lot of festivals and got a lot of love in our Critics Association. So I'm super shocked that it's not here. That he's not there as director. The movie's not there. The, you know, Isla Fisher's not there. I'm shocked that, you know, it's getting zero love.
I think it goes back to what we were saying before. Is I think we're going to start seeing a drastic. Well, I don't even know drastic, because some of these film festivals are just early in the year and they're not going to change. But I'm wondering. So it's the thing of we talk about those films all the time of when they come out. They're coming out too early. The push is too early, and that's why they got to know it. Which I find to be complete bullshit. And the fact that Black Panther is gotten nominated here, I think people are going to sit there and say, see, that doesn't mean that. And to me, it shouldn't be the lesson to learn here. Cause I think Black Panther was just something that stayed. Black Panther and Get Out or something that were able to stay in the culture for so long that they were able to keep that presentation up there. But when you have a smaller film, they absolutely do get forgotten about when they get put in early. Like we brought this up before with Ryan Coogler and what was that film?
Fruitvale Station.
Fruitvale Station. I brought this up with like, while I wasn't a super big fan of what was it, Split, I was like, absolutely, James McAvoy should have been nominated for Split, because good God, he played all those different characters. And again, when you look at somebody like, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody, you're like, yo, he made that film. Like, James McAvoy made that fucking film. Without him playing those different characters and playing all those different personalities, like, Split doesn't happen the way it does, and then people don't rush out and want to go, oh, I can't wait to go see Glass, right? So, but it happened in January.
You have a direct comparison for that right now. Toni Collette in Hereditary and how hard people were pushing for her. Mm-hmm. So you can't say like it's because of it's because of a thriller or a horror thing.
No, it's
because she carries that film.
It's a timing
the way
thing.
They carried Split.
Yeah, it's a timing thing where people talk about these films hitting early. So I think that's still a thing here. But I'm interested in seeing if that conversation now starts trickling down to festivals, because we're seeing now some of these films are debuting not just in theaters early, but they're also debuting at these festivals, and they become the talk of the town of those festivals early on. But then you get to the end of the year, and then TIFF happens, and you get the other festivals that happen. You get the local festivals that are happening. Like, we get films out here like the Middleburg Festival and things like that. Like, you start getting the local scene festivals. You get the big one in TIFF, where TIFF is doing way bigger things now, and films kind of that, and that's where the conversation. That's where they start grabbing that Oscar talk and Oscar conversation right when it gets time to start talking about voting, and that leads into our Critic Association having to vote for our awards, and then leads into the nomination selections and things like that. It's like, I'm starting to wonder if things like Sundance and things like that happen at the beginning of the year, way before where the films that are debuting there aren't eligible for that year's Oscars, but the next year's Oscars. I'm beginning to wonder if those festivals aren't going to start looking at themselves like, what can we do to remain ourselves in the conversation? Because at this point, TIFF is becoming the festival to kind of talk about. Or here are the films that are coming out, and these are the films you should mention from. I want to say Green Book. Green Book didn't debut at TIFF, but I think it won something. It won something before TIFF. It was like I can't remember what a festival or what it was, and it won like it might have been TIFF. Let me go. I gotta look that up. It might have.
Yeah, I think it was TIFF.
And that's where Green Book's push came from. Green Book is only here right now because of whatever whatever came out of. I think it was, like you said. I think it was TIFF. Yeah, it won a. Yeah, Green Book got its Oscar boost basically from the audience award at TIFF, and that's when all of a sudden it got rocketed to where it was. Again, I liked the movie for what it was, and I love Mahershala in the movie, and the film should have been about him. But Best Picture, not sure about that. Probably shouldn't be there. But it's that conversation. But it's the conversation that came from it winning that audience award at TIFF, what boosted Green Book to where it was. And so I'm really intrigued to see how these festivals that happen that are more established and are happening earlier in the year, like Sundance, are going to react to that, because some of the films that come out of there that you think are big they either don't hit or they get picked up at Sundance, and then they get released later on in the year, and that's what people remember. If they don't remember it debuting at Sundance and things like that. So I think it's just gonna be interesting to see how they work that out. All right, so this is definitely coming out right before the Oscars. So you guys want to put any other predictions out for either for the film categories we've already talked about or any other categories we haven't talked about?
I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse wins Best Animated Feature.
Of course.
So you know what? Talking about Best Picture, I think it should have been in Best Picture.
Yep.
I don't disagree.
I honestly think that, to me, I think that was actually the best comic book film of last year, and then over Black Panther and Infinity War. Because Into the Spider-Verse was an amazing film, and I believe that it should have gotten a Best Picture nomination and maybe even a Best Director nomination. So yeah, agree with you on that one. What do you got?
Yeah,
Brandon?
I mean, for me, I'm gonna go the favorite for Best Picture, Romney for Best Actor, Yalitza for Best Best Actress, Mahershala for Best Supporting Actor, Emma Stone for Best Supporting Actress.
You can get Emma Stone over Raquel?
Sadly, yes.
Mm.
Oh, Raquel or Rachel? Did you just call Rachel
I'm sorry,
Raquel?
I called her Raquel. I'm sorry, Rachel. Sorry.
Are you trying to make her fancy?
No,
because her name Rachel.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was not before this.
And yeah, absolutely. Actually, let me back that up. Regina King for supporting for Beale Street, because that's the only thing they put Beale Street up for real.
Mm.
And outside of that, man, it's a throw up. I mean, whoever wins it, Best Director, it's probably gonna go to Spike. But that'll be the give me, for him finally, and the rest of them, Best Script, Adapted, Best Original.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this. Like, because the adapted screenplay thing to me is so intriguing. They had the Ballad of Buster Scruggs in there. I've seen that. I'm like, really, you guys put that into Best Adapted?
Critics loved it. Critics loved it, bro.
Like, I'm not saying it wasn't okay, but I'm like, interesting.
I have listened to a few just film podcasts, and The Favorite and that Buster Scruggs film, they just all over it, dog. Like, I don't get it. I'm sad to not hear more people talking about Isle of Dogs, because I thought that movie was amazing. Just from an art point and just the story they told, and the actors that they used for the voice work did a really good job. I love that shit. I'm glad they sent it to us to actually watch it, and I am still blown that Three Identical Strangers is not in the documentary category. I have or the Mr. Rogers one. I have no idea what the fuck they were smoking. When they didn't put those in there, but they put Solo in there. Solo is cool, but Solo gets kind of super white dude-ish after a while. It's just like, yeah, we get it, dude. Your friends are dying around you from trying to climb a mountain. True struggle, my nigga. I'm sorry, I don't feel sad for white people when they go out and do super extreme white shit. It after a while, I'm just like, if this turns into 27 hours, I'm not gonna watch it anymore.
All right, well, there you guys have it. That is our last Black Critic Roundtable before the Oscars. Let us know what you guys think. I will not be watching. I will be watching Twitter watch the Oscars and seeing who wins from there. Yeah, we'll be back sometime in March, probably towards the end of March, with another roundtable. We're gonna try to do this like probably every other month, and we're gonna be talking about the female director from 2018 and 2019. We should be on the lookout for. So, yeah, folks. Again, make sure you subscribe. Movie Trailer Reviews podcast on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, Spotify. Also, save the date, April 27th. There will be 2 NDA screeners hosted by MTR Network and Works My 40 Acres. One here in DC and one out in LA. So save that date. I believe they're both set for around noon those days. I didn't realize this out here in DC. That's also the weekend of AwesomeCon. So if you're coming out here already, so if you're already coming out here for AwesomeCon, you can come out here for our Endgame screener. Like, here's the thing: people don't really caring about AwesomeCon for our people, but hey, come out to AwesomeCon. We'll give you something to do. We'll be at noon around that time. So yeah, folks, it'll be great. It'll be fun. So, and we're actually not going to be at the theater we were last year, so it won't be. It's still accessible by Metro, but it won't be as crowded and trying to get around because of AwesomeCon down in that area. So just stay tuned. Tickets will hopefully go on sale in a couple of weeks. So just save the date. And yeah, folks, we'll be back soon. Thank you guys very much for listening. Until next time, we're out of here. Peace.